The 1965 war between India and Pakistan didn't erupt from a vacuum. It had roots in the tumultuous partition of British India in 1947. The partition led to the creation of two independent nations, India and Pakistan. However, the future of the princely state of Kashmir remained unresolved. This uncertainty fueled tensions between the two newly formed nations. Both India and Pakistan claimed Kashmir, leading to the first war between them in 1947 to 48. The war ended with a ceasefire brokered by the United Nations. The ceasefire line, known as the Line of Control, divided Kashmir. India controlled the majority of the region, including the Kashmir Valley. Pakistan controlled a smaller portion. The UN promised a plebiscite to allow Kashmiris to decide their future. However, this plebiscite never materialized, leaving the Kashmir dispute a festering wound in India-Pakistan relations. The First India-Pakistan War left behind a legacy of distrust and animosity. Both countries invested heavily in their militaries. They remained suspicious of each other's intentions. The unresolved Kashmir dispute continued to be a major flashpoint. In the early 1960s, a series of border skirmishes and diplomatic clashes further escalated tensions. Pakistan felt that India was stalling on the promised plebiscite in Kashmir. They believed India was seeking to permanently integrate the region. India, on the other hand, accused Pakistan of sponsoring unrest in Indian-administered Kashmir. These tensions created a volatile situation. It was only a matter of time before a spark ignited a larger conflict. In August 1965, Pakistan launched Operation Gibraltar. This covert operation aimed to infiltrate Pakistani-trained guerrillas into Indian-administered Kashmir. Pakistan hoped to incite a local uprising against Indian rule. The operation, however, proved to be a miscalculation. Indian forces detected the infiltrators. They responded swiftly and decisively to counter the incursion. India's response marked the beginning of the 1965 India-Pakistan War. The conflict quickly escalated from a localized skirmish in Kashmir to a full-blown war along the international border between the two countries. The 1965 war witnessed fierce fighting on multiple fronts. One of the most significant battles took place in the Cham-Jarian sector of Jammu and Kashmir. Pakistani forces launched a massive offensive aiming to capture the strategically important Aknur Bridge. The bridge connected Jammu and Kashmir with the rest of India. The Battle of Asal-Uttar proved to be a turning point in the war. Indian forces, equipped with powerful Centurion tanks, inflicted heavy losses on the advancing Pakistani army. The Pakistani offensive was repelled. This victory bolstered Indian morale and shifted the momentum of the war. Other notable battles included the Battle of Philora in Punjab and the Battle of Chawinda, one of the largest tank battles since World War II. Section 5. Beyond the land, air and naval engagements. The 1965 war was not confined to land battles alone. Both India and Pakistan deployed their air forces extensively. The air war witnessed dogfights between Indian and Pakistani fighter jets. Both sides carried out bombing raids on strategic targets. The Indian Air Force played a significant role in supporting ground troops. They targeted Pakistani supply lines and troop concentrations. The Indian Navy also saw action, primarily in the Arabian Sea. The most notable naval engagement was the bombardment of the Pakistani coastal town of Dwarka by Pakistani warships. While the naval dimension of the war was relatively limited, it highlighted the conflict's expansion beyond the immediate battlefields of Kashmir and Punjab. Section 6. The world takes notice, international involvement and ceasefire. As the war raged on, the international community grew increasingly concerned about the escalating conflict between two newly independent nations. The Soviet Union, a close ally of India, called for a ceasefire. The United States, while officially neutral, was also concerned about the war's potential to destabilize the region. The United Nations Security Council passed Resolution 211 on September 20, 1965, demanding a ceasefire between India and Pakistan. Both countries accepted the ceasefire, which came into effect on September 23, 1965. The war had lasted for 17 days. Section 7, the Tashkent Agreement, a fragile peace. Following the ceasefire, India and Pakistan agreed to participate in peace talks mediated by Soviet Premier Alexei Kosygin. The talks were held in Tashkent, Uzbekistan in January 1966. The resulting Tashkent Agreement aimed to resolve the issues that had led to the war. Under the agreement, both sides agreed to withdraw their forces to pre-war positions. They also agreed to restore diplomatic relations. However, the agreement did not address the underlying issue of Kashmir. This left the dispute unresolved and continued to cast a shadow over India-Pakistan relations. Section 8. Scars of War. The 1965 war's impact on India-Pakistan relations. The 1965 war had a profound impact on India-Pakistan relations. The war deepened the mistrust and animosity between the two nations. It led to an arms race in the region as both countries sought to bolster their military capabilities. The war also had a significant human cost. Thousands of soldiers and civilians on both sides lost their lives. The unresolved Kashmir dispute continued to be a major obstacle to peace. The war solidified the line of control as the de facto border in Kashmir. It further complicated efforts to find a lasting solution to the dispute. Section 9. Geopolitical shifts. The war's regional consequences. The 1965 war had significant geopolitical consequences. It highlighted the Cold War rivalry playing out in South Asia. The Soviet Union's support for India and the United States' relatively neutral stance had a lasting impact on regional alliances. The war also exposed the limitations of the United Nations in resolving conflicts. Despite the UN's call for a ceasefire, the organization was unable to prevent the outbreak of war or to address the underlying causes of the conflict. Section 10. A continuing legacy. The 1965 war and the future. The 1965 India-Pakistan War continues to cast a long shadow over South Asia. The war's legacy is a reminder of the human cost of conflict and the dangers of unresolved disputes. The Kashmir issue remains a major point of contention between India and Pakistan. It continues to fuel tensions and mistrust. The 1965 war underscores the importance of dialogue, diplomacy, and a peaceful resolution to the Kashmir dispute. Finding a lasting solution is crucial for ensuring peace and stability in South Asia.